Hello guys, welcome back to my channel Automation Hub Sarthak, and in continuation with multiple object extraction, I will tell you how will you extract a bunch of links from a particular place, as well as we will validate those links using response code. Few months back I did design response code logic as well as uploaded a video. Anyways, I'll repeat the same. So let's understand what we are doing today. So let's say, for example, I'll open bbc.com. It's a news channel. You can see in the header there is home link, news link, sport link, real, work life, travel, future, culture. And if you open the hamburger button, there are three more links: TV, weather, and sounds, which are not displayed, okay, because they are in the hamburger button. So what we need to do is we will extract these links. We will click on each and every link. We will determine the title of each and every link, and if we will, let's say for example, right now we are in the home page, we'll click on news. So this page will open, we'll determine the title of the page, okay, and then we'll come back to this particular, back to the home page. So while we click on news, as of now it is opening, so that means the status code response is 200. Okay, so we'll determine using, we'll validate that, okay, we'll determine the response code and we'll validate against it, and then we'll see what to do. So let's go ahead and start the code. I'll create a class. Let's say BBC links using response code. So let me use testng for this. Okay, fine. So I'll create an annotation, and one second guys. Okay, I got a bloody back pain. Yep, I'm okay. Public void, let's say uh, BBC top links. I'll import using testng. Okay, at a global level, I'll make my class, sorry, I'll make my WebDriver reference. Okay, so here let me write the code very quickly. Driver.manage dot window dot maximize and driver.get bbc.com. Okay, this is what we will do. Now let us, we know we have to determine all these links. So for that we have to do a little bit of analysis, little bit of inspection. So let me click on news link, inspect it, and it has an anchor tag which is having this attribute href, which is having this particular URL. Okay, so similarly let me go to sport and inspect. This is also having an anchor tag and it is having this attribute href with this particular link. Now to find a certain commonality, if in the previous video of how to handle stale element reference exception, I did tell you that you can use, you can design your XPath in such a fashion when there are bunch of links at a particular place, you can play around with the XPath and determine how it is. I'll again repeat the same thing. So let's say for example, for this news link, I'll right click, copy the XPath, and I'll just paste the XPath here for reference. And then for the sport link, I'll right click, inspect, I'll come here, copy the XPath, come here, paste it. See, L1, L2, L3, similarly it will go. Uh, let me go to culture, right click, inspect, here it is culture, copy the XPath, come here, paste. See, it is increasing. So it will start with the home link as L1 and L1 indexing 1, and it is going till 8. So we will determine how many links are there in total first. So to do that, I'm going to do one thing. For this particular, so XPath, I have to take the commonality in such a way. So what I'll do is I'll copy this, but here instead of li indexing, I'll leave it like this. And this is what I will take, and this will be the commonality of XPath for that particular bunch. See, it's rows 1 of 11. Okay. As of now, while using this, I am determining 11 elements or 11 anchor links. So let me do that in the code itself. So I'll make a list of web element top links equal to driver dot find elements by dot xpath. I've pasted the xpath over here. Okay, so I'll import using java util list. So this is the xpath which I have determined. Now once this is done, let me go ahead and print the size of the list. So here you can write total top links in BBC homepage are top uh, top links dot size. We saw it was 11 using this particular XPath. Let's see what this thing has to say. Yep, there are 11 too. So everything is right. I'll just close the browser. Okay, I'm not using driver.quit, but I will not be executing too many times. We'll write the whole code, then we will execute. Now, there are certain things that we need to do. So I'm unnecessary. There are certain things that we need to do. I'll show you what all things that we need to do here. There are certain operations that we need to carry out, and these are the 5 operations I am thinking to carry out as per the logic of this particular code. So first and foremost, we will go to bbc.com, which we have, and check the top menu, and we need to extract the links, which we have already done. Now we will iterate over each link. We'll check the presence of each link, whether it is being displayed or not, is it hidden or whatever, and then we'll click on the link and check the web page it opens. Come back to the original page and continue the process. Alongside it, we will, while while doing this, we will also check out the response code. So be with me till the end of the video and you'll understand. So now, since we have to iterate over each link, for this what do we need to do? We have to use a traditional for loop. I have done this many times. I'm again doing it. You have seen a lot of my videos for multiple object extraction and you know it by now. So top links dot size. So the first case, what we need to do, we can determine what are the links and the name of those particular links. So for this, you can do a sysO and you can do top links dot, you can get the index followed by the text of that particular link, so which will determine the name of those links. Okay, now let's say for example you want to iterate over each link. So first and foremost, let us find out for that particular link whatever URL is attached to it. So for that we can use something known as top links dot get index dot get attribute. And what is the attribute? The link has href. I have shown in the DOM multiple number of times. See, if you right click inspect on reel, it has HTTPS, it has an href attribute. This is the URL which is attached to this reel link. That is what you are trying to determine. And of course, it will return a string type. So you can just write here string URL. Simple. If you want, you can print this. So this will print the URL for each respective link. If you want, you can execute the program right here and go ahead and see. I don't want to, because I have done this multiple number of times, so I'm just moving ahead. So I'm just keeping a demarcation line so that the the output doesn't look too clustered. Okay, this is one thing which we need to do. Now, before we go ahead and check out the methods of checking the presence of each link. Okay, to check the presence of each link, we can do one more thing. That is, if you really want to check the presence of each link, you can do an add, and I'll do here presence of this link is. So it will do something like top links dot get indexing again dot is displayed. Okay, so we can determine it using this also, no problem. Okay, now let's go ahead. The next part which I wanted to show you is, you have to, for response code, because you will have to determine the response code. Okay, if you guys do not remember what response code are, just go to response code Wikipedia and you will see response code of URL. You can check, there are one type, one series, two series, three series response code. Okay, so if you read this, you'll understand 400 is bad request, 403 forbidden, 404 not found. All these things are there, and the one which is success is 200. Okay, so we have to determine that each and every link, when we click on those link, if it returns a response code 200, okay, then only we will go and then only we will not report a defect, as in in the testing sense. Okay, so what do we do? So I'm going to right now make a particular method. It's I will make another method, public void validate response, for what? For those URLs, okay, which anyways we are creating. So for that we have to determine the response code. So I do not know what kind of response code will come. So as of now I am using, let's say for example the response code is 0. See, many times now this question many people ask me, so if you are trying to determine the response code, why are you initializing it to 0 first? See, to answer this question I can also tell you that whenever we use a typical uh, Java program to find the sum of something, this of something like that, so we always initialize it to 0. We know that response codes are integers. They will return uh, anything between 100 to 400 something. So I know something of that sort will be returned in form of an integer. So let me assume the fact that the response code is 0, and then I'll apply my logic. Okay, so let's go ahead. Okay, before we apply the logic, there are two things that you need to be careful about. First and foremost, you need to go to your pom.xml and you need to see there are couple of dependencies that you need to add, and these are the two dependencies that you need to add. Okay, I'll copy these dependencies. Here are those dependencies. So please note, the dependencies are commons minus io and fluent minus hc. Please apply these dependencies in your pom.xml file and save it and then update the Maven project. Otherwise, you will not be able to proceed further, at least with the response code validation. I have made this text enlarged so that you guys can see thoroughly. Please, even you can copy this from mvnrepository.com, bring it and put it inside your Maven dependencies in pom.xml file. Now, let's go ahead. So I'll write the logic. It's very simple. You have to call the request class and it will get the URL, okay, which will be called upon to execute it. I think I've taught you guys this. If you do not remember, just go ahead and see, and this will return a certain response which will be followed by a status line and which will be followed by the final status code. Okay, now you can use a multiple try catch block to handle this. Okay, now what do we need? We do need something. We need a response code. If the response code, so we have to apply a logic now. If okay, before we apply the logic, let us print the response code. That is also something we should do. We have to print the response code, right? So we can write here response code for URL, and that is the URL is this. I mean, this is what we have to do. Is we can add something like, and I'll just say response underscore code. It's a very simple, I mean, I'm just trying to print response code for URL, whatever the URL which will pop out from this for loop, and you just giving the response code what you will determine here. So now, once this is done, once the output response code is received, if my response code is equals to 200, then please return me true. Okay, else else return me false. Okay, so if the final thing is true, very good. If not, return false. So now, since it is returning true or false, I'll change it to boolean. Simple. It's no big deal. At the end, I'm either getting me true or it will handle all those exceptions in between and return me false at the end. That's it. So it's not a big deal. It's an easy thing to do. It's a very simple thing. Now, what is the next thing that I need to do, guys? Next thing is very simple. I need to call this particular method which I have created, this particular utility method which I have created. And what do I need to call this for? I need to call this in this method, top links method. And why do I need to call this there? I need to call this validate response method in this particular BBC top links method because I have to create a certain assertion to determine whether the response code which I'm using here is getting iterated over this particular for loop. That's the reason why. There is no other bigger reason than this. I just want to check whether it is working fine or not. Okay, so what I'm going to do after this, first let me call this validate res sorry response. I'll call that URL. So this is a certain result, and the result we know is either true or false. Okay, so this is certain result, and what is this result, true or false? So if it is a true or false, it is nothing but a boolean result. So what I can do, I can now use assertion, assert dot assert true, and I can use result. If not, the result is true, else you can say invalid response code. Simple. Okay, let's not use assert. Let's go ahead and use soft assert. So I'll write public soft assert equal to new soft assert. Okay, I'll not use assert. I'll use soft assert. Okay, and since I'm using soft assert, so what do I need to do? I have to use soft assert dot assert all. I always forget sometimes. Many people forget this, but you guys don't forget this. This is something which is very important. Don't forget this. Okay. Now what is next? Now what you need to do? So now you have called it. Now the next part that we need to do is we need to click on each link. See, we have checked the presence. We have iterated over it. Now we click on each link and check the web page it opens. And typically, if the web page it opens, we need to determine what driver.get title. Then only we will determine whether the page is same or not. Okay, so now let's go ahead and determine. Let's first click on each and every link. So how do I click on each and every link? Very simple. Top links dot get index. Simple. Dot click. No big deal. I think I have already told you this concept. I'm again repeating the same. Okay, now I'll determine the title of each page. Title of this page is driver dot get title. Save. No big deal. Now once it opens the title, what it has to do, it has to come back to the original home page. As I said here, come back to the original page and continue the process. This is what I intend to. So after it will find, it has to come back. Come back where? https www.bbc.com. This is what it comes back to all the time. Okay. Now we know in the previous video also we know that this will still not work. This will give us tail element reference exception. I think I have told in the previous video. People, those who have not watched my tail element reference exception video and you're watching this directly, you might get confused. Please watch my tail element reference exception and how to handle that. Please watch this video and then come. I will put up the Hindi video for the same, but for tail element reference exception, you can watch either of the two videos. So now I will just manage this. Okay, so this will take care of my tail element reference exception, and I have not executed the program, the whole program. I'm not sure whether it will work or not. I'm just thinking that it should work. If it does not, we'll see. So let me execute the program right now. So BBC homepage opens. Okay. Okay, it clicks on news. It goes back to homepage. It clicks on sport, goes back to homepage. Clicks on reel. Okay, goes back to homepage. Clicks on work life. Yes, goes back to home page. Clicks on travel. Yes, it does. Goes back to home page. Clicks on future. Yes, it does. Goes back to home page. Clicks on culture. Yes, it does. Goes back to home page. But after that the program will fail. The program will not be able to execute because the other three links are under the hamburger button, which are hidden. See, this one response code it's 200. Home presence of this link is true. Okay, okay, so I can say this presence of this link. So this will so this one is for the home link. Presence of this link is true. So you can see this one news presence of this link is true. Sports presence of this link is true. But when it comes to The ones in the hamburger button, it is false. So presence of this link is false. That is why it cannot determine those three. After culture, it is not even able to determine the name of that particular link. Okay, so this is what happens. So even though the status code is correct, it is determining the URL, but it is not able to find the, it is not able to handle that. It is just able to identify that link is in, it is not visible, it is not displayed, but it is not able to uh, determine or uh, click on that. It is not able to do a certain action on those links which are hidden or not displayed. Anyways, we'll take care of it later. I hope so far you have understood this small concept. So just how to adjust the response code validation. You can create a utilitarian method and then call the same method inside the main inside your logical method, and then you can use the small piece of assertion and you can click on it and determine everything. I hope this small video will give you a clarity of how things are going to work. And in the next video, I will tell you one more way of handling this, but in a very different and a peculiar fashion. I hope you have enjoyed this session, and if you did, please continue to watch my videos and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Sarthak here signing off.